Today we're going to talk about angle grinders. Angle grinders are a really useful tool that you'll find around the shops. They do a lot of different things. You can carve wood with them, you can grind metal, you can polish metal, you can cut metal. There's just a whole slew of things that you can do with angle grinders, and they're a very useful tool. A couple things about angle grinders that are really important. I want to show you three different attached discs I have right now. So this is a cutting disc. This is a really thin disc. It's made out of a composite material, that abrasive composite material that it actually cuts through metal. So you hold the grinder to angle and cut through metal. This disc will reduce in size as you cut. So they don't hold up really good. They're really easy to break if you bend it while you're cutting, or if you drop it. It will break or damage really easy. This is a typical grinding wheel. It's 1/4 inch thick. It's 4.5 inch diameter. So the diameter is important. You have to put the right diameter disc on the right diameter grinder. So this is a 4.5 inch angle grinder. This is a 4.5 inch disc. Works out great. The next one is, it's almost like see how it has a bunch of sandpaper glued up? Some people would call this a flap sander, but usually a flap sander, the pieces stick out even further. And this one is designed for polishing metal. Okay, so it's not designed for cutting metal or grinding welds. It would be just for polishing things up really nice at the end. So you don't want to use this except for really lightly at the end. They wear out really fast and they're very expensive. All right, so let's look at the nut I just took off the bottom of the grinder. If you look at the nut, it has like a recess on one side. So you have to put that in correctly. So it fits in there. If you put it on upside down, it might loosen up and it won't hold this grinding stone the way it should. Okay, so it kind of depends on which wheel you're using and how that will go on. All right, so you have to kind of pay attention to that nut and put it on the right way. So your goal here is to make sure that when the blade is on, or the disc is on, it's not loose. So let me kind of demonstrate that. Let's say I put this one on, and see how there's a recess there too. It fits on nice. And then let's say I put this on backwards so the nut's going the wrong way. You'll see how this is loose. You can't use it when it's loose, or else it won't spin right, and it will damage the grinder, possibly the grinder, for sure the grinding disc, and you could get hurt. So it's really important that this nut goes on the right way. So now watch, if I put the nut on the right way, it's going to press up against this thin disc, and I haven't tightened it down yet, but see how now it's working right. It's not loose, it's going together well. So the most common one we use, these are about $2 a piece, and we go through those really fast. These ones are about $3 a piece. We go through those relatively fast, but they do hold up quite a while, and you can use them for a long time. You're going to inspect these for chips or cracks. You don't want to use a grinding disc that has some bad chips or cracks in it, because it can implode on you. This one, these are like $6-8, and if people grind on welds with them and stuff, they don't hold up long. So you have to kind of really use your head on that. So this one, I'm going to put the grinding disc down. And now for this one, I'm going to put that recess down in, so then it holds this grinding disc even a little bit better. And then I'm going to push in on this button, and this locks the spindle. And then I have a wrench that I'm going to turn, and I'm going to go clockwise, to tighten it. So I'm going to put this is a hex wrench. I'm going to turn it clockwise to tighten it. Okay, there's lots of different wrenches that would work on different grinders. It might not look like this at all. It might be a flat type wrench as well. So then the next thing to consider is the guard. Okay, the guard has to be positioned correctly. It has to be on. So the guard, usually you're going to face it down like this. Okay, and there's a little button you can push in on this one that rotates the guard. The guard always stays on. You never angle grind without the guard, because that would be really dangerous. This guard's protecting you a little bit. If that blade or that abrasive wheel breaks, it's protecting you so you don't get hurt. All right, a couple other things with angle grinders. If both hands are on them, your chances of an injury are just way down. So if both your hands are on the angle grinder, you know, how are you going to accidentally grind your finger? It would be really hard, right? I don't know how you could do that if both your hands are on the machine. One's back here, one's up here on the handle. Okay, people get hurt is when they're holding down their metal and then they're grinding it, and because they're holding it with their hand, then they grind into their hand. Even if they're wearing gloves, this will go right through a pair of gloves. Another thing you got to watch out for is the sparks. The sparks are very small sparks. They won't hurt you usually, but they're something to be concerned about. We're not going to shoot sparks at another person. You would never shoot sparks into like a pile of trash, like paper or anything that could catch on fire. And you don't want any sparks to hit you in the face. So all your sparks are going to be directed down and away from you, not at somebody else. Not into any trash or anything that can catch on fire, or any flammable liquids or anything like that that could catch on fire as well. So you got to really be thinking about that, because that could be, you know, really bad. So if sparks hit you in the face, they can hit your cheekbone and then bounce off your glasses and then back into your eye. I had a good friend that happened to him. He was wearing safety glasses, but he was grinding, and the sparks were hitting his face, and he got one of those sparks in his eye, and he had to go to an eye doctor and have it removed. And they actually removed it with a really tiny drill bit. So you don't want that to happen to you. And the best way to prevent that is to simply not let the sparks hit you in the face. Safety glasses, if they're worn tight to your face, will work pretty good. We also have face shields. If you're doing a lot of grinding on something really heavy and you feel like sparks are hitting you in the face randomly, then you'd move to a face shield. Most of the time, if you're cautious on something flat like this, a small flat object, you don't really need a big face mask as long as you don't notice that sparks are hitting you in the face. Another thing to consider is some ear gloves. So ear protection, the grinding is very loud, and that's usually what people do not like about it the most, is the noise it makes. So that what will help you with the noise is by wearing ear protection, and that will make you know, grinding a lot better without that noise. So that's some basics on the angle grinder. There's all different kinds and styles. One thing I want to show you on this is they make a special feature on the triggers. So the trigger, you flip back this little lever and then push in, and that makes it go. They do that so if you set it down, it won't take off going across the table. Okay? They do that to try to make it safer. So if you look close, you just have to flip this lever and then it will go in. If I just push like this, it doesn't work. I got to flip the lever and then it will go in. Some grinders have an auto lock to where they'll just keep going hands free. So that's not a good feature. I don't know why they make that feature, but it's not safe to lock the grinder in a hands-free motion. I think that's a recipe for disaster. So that's not something you're going to do with angle grinding.